Welcome to Excel Magic Trick number 1312. Hey, if you want to download this Excel workbook and follow along, click on the link below the video. Hey, we got a strange question here. Someone wanted to dynamically count the number of Mondays and Tuesdays since birth. Now, since Excel 2010, we've actually had the NETWORKDAYS.INTL function, which makes this calculation sort of straightforward. If we still didn't have Excel 2010 or later, the array formula would get kind of crazy. Hey, let's just remind ourselves how awesome NetWorkDays is. Here it is. We have a start and end, and we just want to count the number of workdays. Now, for this particular example, we're going to have our weekend on Sunday, and we have one holiday that we need to exclude. Well, if we type equals NET, there are two functions. NetWorkDays was around before Excel 2010 and only did the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So we want to down arrow and tab to get NetWorkDays.International. We want a start date. There will be our start date, comma, end date, comma, and here's the magic weekend argument inside of NetWorkDays.International. We could have weekends on Saturday and Sunday, Sunday, Monday, Monday or Tuesday. Notice there's a bunch of two-day combinations, and then down here we have a bunch of one-day combinations. The one we want is Sunday. That means we're not going to be counting Sunday. So I double-click and I have that 11, comma. Holidays, simply some list off to the side. And that will do it for counting the work days between a start and end. When I hit Enter, 7 days. Now, when we come down here, we are definitely going to use NetWorkDays.Internationals. But think about this. Mondays and Tuesdays, those are actually going to be our work days. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are like our weekends. So you ready? Equals NetWorkDays.International. Our start date will be our birth date, comma. And since we want this to be dynamic, the end date is going to be the today function. Today function without anything inside of the arguments will always give us today's date, comma, and then weekend. Well, notice this list does not have all possible combinations. It does not have the weekend from Wednesday to Sunday. That's where a 7-character text string comes in. 0 will mean weekday. That's the day we want to count. And 1 will be the weekend. It means a date we do not want to count. So if we had 0, 0, 0, 0, Monday through Friday, and 1, 1, that would mean Saturday and Sunday would be the weekend. So for us, since 0 means count the date, Monday, Tuesday, and then all the way from Wednesday to Sunday will be our weekend. Now this has to be a text string, so I double quote, 0, 0 to count Monday and Tuesday. And then here's our weekend. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And double quote, because it's got to be a text string. We do not have to worry about holidays for this calculation here. So close parentheses, and that formula will do it. When I hit Enter, that's how many Mondays and Tuesdays there have been since this birth date. Now, that's pretty much all you need to know because almost all of us have Excel 2010 or later. Let's go ahead and take a look at, just for fun, what we would do before Excel 2010. Well, the first thing we'd have to do is take this birth date and get an array of dates all the way to today and ask the question, are any of you Monday or Tuesdays? Now, actually, in my Ctrl Shift Enter Mastering Excel Array Formulas book, in Chapter 7, I talk about a dynamic variable length array of sequential numbers, which just means I need to type any birth date here and get a complete dynamic array of sequential dates. Now, the way we do that is we're first going to take the birth date and join it with a colon inside of double quotes and then another ampersand to the today function. What this does is it's going to try and simulate a row reference. If I hit the F9 key, it's giving me, oh, just the bookends from birth date to today's date. I really need the complete array, so I'm going to use two functions, row, which will give me row numbers, and then indirect. Now, indirect will take that internal reference as text and convert it back to a reference. Now, close parentheses, close parentheses. I would like to show you the array of sequential numbers, but if I evaluate this, it's much too big for the cell. So I'm actually going to change this date right here just to 8/1. So that way we should get 4 for the completed formula. But let's evaluate this using the F9 key. And there it is. That's how you create with row and indirect an array of sequential numbers. Whatever date I put here, this will always start there and go all the way to today. Control Z. I need to ask the question of that array, are any of you Monday or Tuesdays? I'm going to use the weekday function. And the weekday function, if I come to the end, comma, similar to networking days, it has this drop down. 1 would represent Sunday all the way to 7. So I'm going to choose that one. That's the default, so I'm going to leave it out. But that means that Monday will be 2 and Tuesday will be 3. So backspace, close parentheses. And then of this whole array right here, F9, you can see it starts with 2 and 3. And I need to see if there are any 2s and 3s in there. Control Z. So now I ask the question, are any of you equal to? And I'm going to use an array constant. 2, 3, close curly brackets. Now, when I evaluate this F9, I get trues and falses. All I need now is to add those trues, Control Zs. I'm going to first convert them to 1s and 0s using double negative. And I have to wrap the parentheses around that equal sign to force it to calculate before the double negative. If I hit F9, now I have my 1s, which represent Monday and Tuesday. Control Z. I can simply put this inside of the sum product. Now, why sum product instead of sum? Because that argument can handle that array operation without any special keystroke. Whereas if I used sum, I'd have to use Ctrl Shift Enter. All right, and there it is. Now, weekday is one way we could go. We could also, if I copy this in edit mode, paste it down here, we actually could use the text function. I think I prefer to use weekday, but we could use text. That means that value now has the array of dates, and I need to format them as a 3-day abbreviation. So in the format argument, comma, double quote DDD, and double quote. If I were to highlight just the text part and hit F9, you can see, oh, now I have Monday, Tuesdays, and so on, Control Z. So now instead of asking the question, are you equal to 2 or 3, I, in double quotes, put Monday, comma, and then in double quotes, Tuesday. And that formula will work also. If I change this back to August 4th, I get the same answer for all 3 formulas. Now, one thing about these two, in my book, I also timed a number of formulas where we compared weekday and text. And weekday tends to be a much faster calculating function than the text function. All right, there's a little history. And here is how to count Mondays and Tuesdays since birth using NETWORKDAYS.INTL. All right, we'll see you next video.